Hello ladies and gents, RT here doing a quick little Robbie's rant inside the car for you. Very topical things going on at the moment. It's all about the interest rate rises, so I just want to give you a bit of an update as far as what's the so what out of that for you as someone in the defence community, serving member may I say, or someone that's got access to Maricotta or RA. You know, all this stuff going on in the media about, you know, the economy's going very, very well. What does that mean? That means the majority of people are spending a lot of money. I know there's a lot of families out there doing it very, very hard, but they don't make up the majority. The economy wouldn't be booming if there's so much spending going on. Record low unemployment, jobs growth is actually on the way up now finally. So the economy is looking very, very well, which is what everyone wanted at the end of COVID. It's just now overshot a little bit more. So this is one of the levers that the RBA has, this being the interest rate hikes, just to slow things down a little bit. You know that we deal in property, we deal in making sure you can secure your financial future using that asset class. In the here and now, you got three choices to make really. But as a bit of a bottom line up front, what I want to say is when the cost of living is going up, therefore there's much more interest that you have to pay on your own home, and I'll explain that in a minute. The very, very low cost of living, i.e. Maricotta and RA, becomes super valuable. Because it's not as if Maricotta rent's going up. The RA things are, staying reasonably stable as well. So there's an opportunity still to grow your property portfolio without having to go, oh fuck, I'm now the one that has to swallow all the extra interest rates due to the levers about what the RBA is doing. So the first choice you've got, of course, is to do nothing. And you can just go, you know what, it's a bit turbulent at the moment. I'm just going to wait for 6 months. I'm just going to see how it all pans out. I'll, start looking again at the start of next year. Now that's all well and good, but I guess remember there's not one property market. There's lots of different micro markets that if you are looking to make money in a particular market and you've gone somewhere where it's got the 7 ingredients to a healthy property market, it effectively makes itself bulletproof from what the interest rate rises are or what the market fluctuations might be. So again, the so what out of just deciding to be paralyzed and wait for 6 months to see what's going to occur. If you come back in 6 months' time to that particular market that you've chosen, let's just say the Western Growth Corridor of Brisbane. You posted the RAF-based handler, you're like, oh, we've just got down here, we're just going to wait for another 6 months. You come back in 6 months' time, if the market keeps doing even a half of what it's been doing so far, you're going to pay 50, 30, 40 grand more than what you had, more than what you could pay in the here and now. So the couple of extra $100 per month that you're going to pay on the interest rate rises is going to cost you so much more in the long run because the market is still going up around you. If you go and buy your own home, everyone needs a roof over their head. So it's all about if you're paying interest on your own home because the interest rates are going up, and the majority of banks are going to want to see when you have your own home mortgage that you're going to be on principal and interest, not interest only. Very, very rare to be on interest only with your own home. So you've got to be, slugging away at your mortgage at the same time. Let's just say you earn $100,000 a year. Some of you earn more, some of you earn less, whatever. And out of that $100,000 a year, you take home around about $75,000 a year after your taxes, withdrawn from the government. So then you've got to pay your mortgage, principal and interest. Then you've got to pay your rates. Then you've got to pay the insurances. Then you've got to pay any maintenance. You've got to, all the upkeep costs of that property come out of your pocket after you've already paid tax. And if the interest rate on your mortgage is higher, you've got less money in your pocket. Guess what? That's the whole point about the RBA doing the lever thing, is that they're trying to stop people spending money. As counterintuitive as that may seem, because the media is talking about the spiraling costs of living right now. And as I go back to the first 30 seconds, this is all about what the majority of people are doing. Think about the fucking retail boom that happens every time there's a bloody crazy Sunday, black bloody sale on, whatever it is, on the internet. People spend billions of dollars. Where did that fucking money's come from? Somewhere. There's a lot of people that got a lot of money right now. Conversely, if you do want to just not maybe, so keep living in your RA, keep living in your Maricotta, and you're like, I've got some cash or equity set aside in my portfolio. I do want to keep benefiting from the market. I do have belief that in the right locations that there is good and sustained low risk capital growth to take place. You can then go and buy an investment property. Now, the complete opposite to you living in your own home, you don't pay, so you've got now two forms of income. You've got the rent return and the tax return. They're two forms of guaranteed income for your investment property. So depending on exactly how the loan is structured, you might be slightly negatively geared, but then when you get $6,000-7,000 back in your tax return, you absolutely become positive cash flow. And what it's all about anyway is putting the right structure in place where you can buy time to allow that property market to actually be buoyant underneath the asset that you bought in that particular location. So it's just a mindset shift at the moment. I'm all cool for people that want to sit on their hands and just see what's going to happen. But don't come fucking running to me to say, oh, that house that we were going to buy in that location has now gone up by 50 grand. We shouldn't have done that and we've missed out. I'm like, oh no, well that's that. You know, guess what? We're all adults. You're going to make your own decisions there. If you do buy your own home, you've got to swallow the interest rate rises. That's how the game works. But if you do want to buy an investment property, you can actually get that done in the right markets along the way. At the end of the day, the goal is to buy time. Putting the right financial structure in place is paramount. You don't want to have to sell the goose that lays the golden eggs, because if you are forced into mortgage stress and you've got to sell your own home, you're back on the rental market, or you've got to go and try and find a home on Home Finder or whatever, or you've sold an investment property which, you know, could bear fruit for you down the track. Speaking of fruit, let me finish off with this little analogy. Bear with me here for a second. When you buy an investment property, for instance, which has got a form of income, you want to be able to make sure, it's almost like buying a little apple tree down in Bunnings. You're like, where the fuck is this going? You go buy an apple tree at Bunnings. It's only about 4 foot high. There's no fruit on it at the moment. It's just a stick with a few leaves and a few branches, of course. And you put it in the car, you wrap it all up. You don't want to let it fall over and have all the, you know, nice rich soil fall everywhere. You go home, you dig a hole, you put it in nice and carefully, and you start watering that tree every day until it grows up. You want the tree to grow up. And it's going to grow up one day to be able to get to a point whereby those branches on that stick with those leaves actually bear fruit. And that's where you can start eating apples from that tree. What does that mean in the game of property? It means that when you buy an investment property, you just, in my opinion anyway, just go on interest only. You don't have to, you're not forced to go into principal and interest. You can do up to 5 years of interest only. So just basically get that property in the market, allow the rent return and the tax return to take care of the mortgage and all the costs. So you've got a positively cash flowed property, a self-licking ice cream, dare I say. And then over the next few years, you're not trying to pay anything off the mortgage right now. That's not the point of what we're doing. You're putting the right structure in place to allow that property to grow in value, that apple tree to grow up. Over the next few years, when the values rise and the rent rises, and if you do want to switch into principal and interest, that's just me asking someone to move forward nice and quietly, then you've got extra income due to the extra rent and your property's gone up in value, which means you've got capital growth and equity. I'll give you another example of the Western Growth Corridor of Brisbane. We've helped dozens of people buy their own home and or investment property out near RAF Base Amberley. It's no secret that that's one of our hotspots around the country to pull the trigger on your ADF housing entitlements or buy an investment property. They bought it the better part of 12 to 18 months ago, and they paid $440,000 for these properties. You've seen some of them on our success stories. Those properties are now worth I'll go back a step. And we said that they were going to get about $390 a week rent. $440,000 property, $390 a week rent, still a pretty good rental yield. Now those properties are worth over $620 and they're getting $500 a week rent. So that's an extra $110, $120 worth of rent that they've got coming in. That's nearly $7,000 a year of extra cash flow. So then why? Because they're just doing principal and interest right now so they can manage that loan nice and easily. And if you want to chuck some extra money on the loan just due to the extra cash flow, you've got choices. You've got choices with your cash, and then you can go and pay your loan off a bit quicker. You're not being forced to do it from the get-go. So that's my little rant in here in the car. First one, I've got my main man Daniel here next to me as my videographer. There's going to be plenty more of these where you're seeing me come from right now. I drive to the office, I drive home from the office, and I'm always thinking about conversations I've had, stuff I've thought about overnight. I want you to get inside my OODA loop. I want you to know what's going on inside my brain so I can actually let you know all those little tips and tricks and little hacks into your life that you can use to make sure that you're going to get the most benefit out of doing what? Securing your financial future using property. See you later.